Hey guys, it's Tarkon back with another video. How about that? How's everyone doing? I'm doing great. Well, these comment videos have been so popular that I decided to do another one. Why not, right? Because now I'm getting more and more comments, so I figured, I should do more and more viewer comment videos. So this one doesn't really have a theme, although I suppose they all kind of have a theme, right? But I'm just going to call this one viewer comments, and to hell with it. I'm also going to try not to make this one 40 or 50 minutes, because I realize too it takes about twice that long for me to upload them. And I do have some other things I want to get done today. So I'm going to go through these. They're not terribly complicated questions or comments, although they seem to be. But remember, when we overthink things, they can seem to be more complicated than they really are, right? And a lot of these comments tend to be about, and I'm the same way, I use my nut way too often to try to get on top of a non-intellectual process using my intellectual faculties, and then I just sort of think myself into a hole, and then trying desperately to claw out of it. But we'll see what we can do with these to try to simplify them a little bit and minimalize them a little bit, because I'm a big proponent of minimalization. Is that the right term? Yes. And mainly too because I'm like you guys. I overthink things way too much sometimes, right? And I certainly have in the past. It's a habit that I've managed to get on top of a little bit, or at least introduce the opposite habit of, more meditating, more calming the mind. But sometimes I slip back into that old way of doing things myself, so I get the sentiment behind it, because again, the monkey mind wants so badly to figure this stuff out. And that there is a bit of resistance attached to that. There's still a little bit of this, I don't know if this really works if I don't involve myself 100% in it, right? There's this element of, I don't know, there's a process, I kind of know there is, I kind of accept that there is, but I still need to do something. I gotta put my little finger in there, stir it around and mess with it, and, right? Put my finger in the cake, watch it collapse, okay? Not necessarily that dramatic, but you know what I'm saying. So the first one here is from Rob K, and hey, Grüße aus dem Ruhrpott, Alter, yeah? Okay. I think only Rob and other German-speaking people will understand that, but he asked me to say that in German, because he is German and in Germany. So Rob writes, I have a tough video suggestion for you, Tarkon. Oh, that scared me already right off the bat. According to Neville, creation is finished. Well, not just according to Neville, right? Neville had one way of explaining that by saying creation is finished. There's other ways to say it, and we talk about parallel realities, as you mentioned in your comment. Yes, everything that you can imagine, everything that you can, any desire that you can conjure up, anything you can even consider or think of, is created immediately in another parallel reality, in that infinite field of possibilities. It's the same kind of thing that Neville was talking about, right? I want to kind of get past this thing about Neville versus what other people are saying, Neville's teaching versus this kind of teaching. And I sense that sentiment a lot with people out there. I don't quite get it, to be honest with you. I don't see Neville's teachings contradicting any other type of teachings that have to do with manifesting and reality creation, to be honest. I just see, and I think I mentioned this in the last video, I just see it all as being semantics, really, and being a question of style, and which style do you prefer. But really, ultimately, what Neville says, what Abraham says, what they all say, comes down to the same thing. Right? And again, I think that what contributes to that, again, is an element of overthinking it and trying to sort of pick camps, or which camp is going to work. Whatever works for you is the thing you should stick with, right? But there's no real opposition, at least not in my mind, and I don't accept it, because ultimately these things have no meaning except what we apply to them. So you choose what meaning you apply to it, right? So you can apply one type of meaning to Neville and another type of meaning to some other teacher, some other guide or coach, and that's fine. But really, ultimately, I choose to just look at it all as the same, and it's just a matter of semantics and different styles of expressing those same concepts, right? And also, you got to remember the time in which Neville Goddard was operating and speaking about this stuff. And, what was it, 40s, 50s, 60s? It was a time when people didn't quite really grasp the stuff the way that we do. We do have a specific vantage point from this era that we're looking at this stuff at, right? So we can choose different words. We can understand these concepts a little bit more than people in that time could, probably just because of cultural and social kind of conditions that existed then. What he was talking about then, and even people before Neville, new thought people and teachers were also operating in a time where it would have been very difficult to explain these concepts in a certain way, or in the way that we might be able to adopt now or understand a little bit better now, considering what we know now, right, and all the time that has passed between now and then. So anyway, if that makes sense. So anyway, according to Neville, creation is finished. But this is not just according to Neville. So this is really the kind of gist of what we're talking about. And this is the gist of manifesting. There's nothing really for you to get. And yes, the whole term of law of attraction, I realize, has been overused and misunderstood. And it's become an easy way to identify these teachings, or for people to find them and search them, right? It's become sort of the accepted terminology. But really, in essence and technically speaking, there is nothing for you to attract. You're not really attracting anything. And I've said this before, you're creating it. From the moment that you conceive of it, you've created it. All right. Now, all you're doing is moving yourself into alignment with it, into the same kind of focus, so that you're able to perceive the thing that you just created. And here's the rest of your comments. I'll just read on. Everything exists in different states, parallel realities. Yes, absolutely. So, well, are we then conscious creators or conscious choosers? Well, what we are conscious observers. You see what I'm saying? And yes, in that sense, we both observe and we both choose and create what we observe. But most of us are just observing by default, right? Most people out there are not watching these kinds of videos or getting into these kinds of teachings or this kind of thing of manifesting. They're just sort of out there observing by default, or thinking that there's this separation consciousness of my creation or reality as this thing, this structure, this mechanical structure, right? Rather than this sort of more of there's a symbiosis, or I don't know if I'm using the right terminology right now, but the point is that the idea with what we're doing here and what we're trying to learn here is that we become conscious observers. So the conscious part is what really matters in your question, right? The creating and the choosing and the observing are all kind of the same thing. We're observing our creation, but our creation is coming back through us via our observation. In other words, it exists via our observation. Without the observer, the creation doesn't actually exist, right? So, and the choosing aspect of it comes with becoming more deliberate in our creation, right? And what we create and what we want to experience, and which version of ourselves and which version of a certain reality or circumstance or event we prefer to experience and observe, right? But you have to kind of, it's a lot to wrap your head around, and I get that. But the idea really is as follows. You have to understand that there is no real separation between the observer and the creation, right? But in every moment, and if we're talking about infinity, there's really sort of this sense of, imagine you have a picture and you cut it in half. But instead of getting half a picture, what you get is the whole picture in a smaller version. And it just continues on and on and on that way, right? This is something that I know from a particular teacher, and I can't remember his name right now. But it's an interesting way to kind of think about what infinity really means. And it's difficult for us to accept that, because as the observer of one type of version of reality, or one type of path, one type of highway, and you think of them all as just these highways that are running kind of parallel to each other, right? But it's just a matter of where am I observing, and I have to sort of get into the detail of one type of reality in order to be able to observe it in detail. Because if I was able to observe everything all at once, all the infinite possibilities out there all at once, it would be impossible for me to really dig down deep into one thing and learn the lessons from that one thing and get on top of that one thing. It just would be too much for us to be able to comprehend. So yes, we are choosing all the time, but at any given moment there is a version of you that is observing that other parallel reality. And the idea for you as the chooser of which observer you're going to be, that's what it comes down to, right? And I don't know if I've garbled this at all, because again, this is a thing that really is difficult to explain, in just a short matter of time. But it's something I do want to get in deeper to, maybe in a podcast episode or something in the future where I can speak for hours and hours. But the idea is really that you're going to just plug into one observation point or another, right? So being the creator or the chooser isn't really the question here. You are the observer, and you're as the observer, you're going to choose what it is you put your focus and your observation upon, right? And by doing that, that's how you are actually creating your reality, right? Creating your reality, but it's already there. So, and that's also how you are choosing your reality, right? So you got to start looking at it from the standpoint of being the observer, and then the choice of the matter comes into play when you choose what specific thing to observe. And you begin to do that by understanding what it would feel like to be the observer in that reality, the chooser of that particular path, the chooser of that particular highway, right? If that makes sense, and I hope it does. So and again, you go on, I was pondering about this the last few days, especially when it comes to gratitude. Should I thank the universe for a great day, or should I thank myself for having chosen the reality where my day was great? Well, first of all, I prefer the term appreciation, and I get this from Abraham, and I think it just feels better than to say gratitude, because saying gratitude and thanking the universe, again, still supposes or presupposes that there is some outside force that is flinging reality and experiences upon you, and that there's some kind of separation between you and it. And again, we're trained into this separation consciousness, and we need to start getting into a unity consciousness. And that really just means there is no separation between you, the observer, and the creation, the reality that you are observing, right? So all of this, there is no really out there, in other words, okay? Everything is emanating from in here, or an in here being just your conscious observation, right? And the question is, who's the observer then? Well, that's a good question. That's something we'll probably still keep asking ourselves. But the point I'm trying to make here is, don't look at it in terms of, it's not this or that. It's this and that. You see what I'm saying? So you could call it whatever you want, and this gets back into semantics and what I said about Neville earlier. It's just a matter of semantics and style and whatever feels best for you in that moment. You can thank yourself or you can thank the universe. But the real gist of it, the real underlying truth of it is there's no separation between you and the universe. You see what I'm saying? You are the universe, and as the universe, you are observing yourself through the avenue of your own creations, through the lens of your creations. So, wow, see, that's a lot to wrap your head around. That just came out of me too. It's the same. We are all just fragments of God observing itself, right? So, and fragments of means we are part of that whole. So we're not separate in that sense. And when I say fragments, there's a sense that there's something there's the fragment and the whole, but really there isn't. Right? It's just a way for us to speak about it and think about it that makes sense to our monkey brains. So it really comes down to what it is that makes you feel more comfortable in any given moment. And you might look at it one way this year, and by next year or in 2 years, you will have changed and grown and expanded in such a way that you prefer to look at it another way. Right? So that's okay, but then that you will have shifted as well, because you are constantly shifting and changing even from moment to moment. You're not actually the same actual Rob, the same actual person with the same exact preferences and the same exact memories and same exact desires, right? But there is a sort of super observer, right? There's that, and I call it the higher self or the inner being. You can call it God, you can call it the universe, but the essence of what is you is doing all the observing and therefore all the choosing and creating. See what I'm saying? And also in terms of gratitude versus appreciation, and again, it's semantics, but I think appreciation does feel better than to say gratitude. First of all, like I said, because with gratitude and thank you, there's this sense of there being a higher power that is doling out rewards or punishment to you, right? And we want to get past that idea with what we're doing here and manifesting and reality creation. The idea is really that you are giving it to yourself. You are allowing yourself to have it. There is no separation between you and the universe, so it really is all the same, one and the same. But also, appreciation is really a sort of a sentiment as well, and a focus and an energy that you send out that says, I prefer this thing that I've been getting. I like this condition. I like that event. I like this person. So I'm feeling appreciation for it. And by doing that, I am actually emanating an emotional sort of signal or an energetic signal that says more of that, please. This is what I prefer. And that is you also being a chooser. You see what I'm saying? Appreciation and appreciating your day or something that happened in your day is just another version of choosing what to observe rather than observing the other thing. You see what I'm saying? You can only observe one thing at a time, right? So in that sense, you know, and this gets to the next comment actually by 𝗬𝗰𝗲𝗯𝗧, the serving two masters concept. You can't, you know, you can't feel terribly about your day and well about your day at the same time. You're going to have to choose one or the other. Right? And it's the choice comes down to, well, what do I prefer to focus on? I prefer to focus on, and I should focus on the thing that feels better to me than the other option, right? Like, it's like this. People will always say, oh, I had a terrible day. Well, you didn't have a terrible day. The entire day was not terrible. Likely what happened is one unwanted thing happened. It took about 30 seconds or so to happen, and then you decided to observe that for the remainder of the day, and maybe even the remainder of the week and the month and the year, and sometimes even the decade. And this is where people get themselves into that downward spiral, right? And all we're doing with manifesting and being conscious creators and conscious manifestors is saying you can choose which observation to put your focus on, which event to put your focus on. Because even that day when that one terrible thing happened to you, something good happened as well. So you get to decide which aspect of that to observe. And as you decide, that's how you're actually drawing more of the like energy and the like type of focus to you. You see what I'm saying? So in that sense, yes, like attracts like. In that sense, it is a sense of attraction. But you're the one emitting the beam and the signal out there. You see what I'm saying? And by doing that, you are activating your ability to observe one event over another. And you are shifting timelines in that sense. You are shifting realities in that sense. Because as you observe the preferred version more and more consistently, the unpreferred version, it doesn't just disappear, but it slips into the background. It becomes less and less dominant. And the preferred version becomes more and more dominant. You see what I'm saying? But what does it come down to, though, Rob? Which Rob are you going to be that day, right? If you had a great day, but maybe one shitty thing happened in your day, which Rob are you going to be? That's what it comes down to. And I hope this makes sense, because what it really is which observer are you going to be, right? Are you going to be the Rob that gets really easily upset about something crappy that happens in his day and then thinks about it all the time and then gets himself into a downward spiral and gets depressed and angry, right? And it's like, oh, I stubbed my toe, and then I think about that all day, or I tell myself, now my day is going to unravel. Look how it began. It's going to be a really bad day. Or what's that one time when that guy let you pass in traffic, or somebody bought you a cup of coffee, or somebody smiled at you, you know, on the street, or somebody was really nice to you, or you heard from your old friend, or whatever, or that puppy came up to you, right? The thing is that you can be the version of Rob that chooses to observe the preferred realities, or the preferred events, or the version of Rob that chooses to observe the other events. But those are two versions of Rob. You see what I'm saying? So even as you're having a great day and decide that you're going to focus on the things that made your day great, there's immediately there's a split, and there's another Rob that went on and observed the terrible parts of the day and had a really shitty day. Right? So you are the source of it all. That's the point I'm trying to make through all that convoluted babbling right there. Again, it's not so easy to explain in just a few minutes, but I hope that it does kind of answer your question. And think about it some more if you want, but don't overthink it, okay? Just understand and really accept you are the source of it all. It's really just all emanates from you. And you're the chooser and the observer and the creator all wrapped in one. There's no separation between any of them, okay? And so 𝗬𝗰𝗲𝗯𝗧, Z-U-Z-A-N-A. So not Susanna or Susanna, 𝗬𝗰𝗲𝗯𝗧. Hello. Topic request, please. Dating, sleeping with others while living from the end with someone specific. Neville said, Neville said, you cannot serve two masters. So, you know, isn't it lack of faith to be purposely filling the void with others? Well, yes, so I explained already, I mean, my interpretation of Neville saying you cannot serve two masters is really like what I just explained to Rob. You can't expect to have one result while focusing on the opposite result, all right? You can't expect to have a good day while focusing on all the crappy things about your day, all right? Likewise, in reverse, you can't have Well, why would you want to have a crappy day? But in other words, you can focus on one aspect or the other, but it's very difficult to focus on two at the same time and have consistent results, right? And be able to shift. And there's what's happening a lot of times, people will have these sort of wobbly results, these back and forth manifestations, and they go, what's going on? Well, what's going on is you're choosing to appreciate one aspect of what you want and then immediately switch to an aspect of it that you don't appreciate. And you're doing that back and forth all the time instead of really picking one and sticking with it consistently. But if you're doing this all the time, then what you're going to get reflected back to you is this. It's the same thing, right? But really what's going is you continually jumping between two opposing realities and timelines. So you need to choose which part you're going to observe. So again, for you, if you think that you're just stuffing your void, some kind of void, by dating others, rather than focusing on your specific person, well, let me put this to you. If you have that mindset about it, probably what's going on is that you're using your specific person as just another way to stuff some kind of void that you think exists. But your focus is on the void and not even on the others, right? That's where your focus is. If there's no void at all in terms of what you're observing, if you're not even observing any kind of void or anything lacking, then you don't really need any others to fill said void, which is just a creation of your own choosing, right? Your own thing that you're choosing to observe. But if you just choose not to observe any kind of void and you choose to tell yourself, hey, I'm complete either way, then it doesn't even matter if your specific person comes in or not, or if it's another version of that thing that you want, or a series of versions of that thing that you want. Because remember, there really are no others. Okay? Again, that's separation consciousness. There really are no others. And I want to say this. I know everyone out there wants a specific person, but really once you get past that and you get to a certain level of understanding with this stuff, you'll realize, oh, that's just another version of myself. And I said this in the last video. You're just using that other version of you, this other person that you see as somehow being outside of you, as an excuse to connect with your true self and your higher self, which is who you truly are. That's what you're trying to get back to. You see what I'm saying? You're trying to commune with God, really, through another, if you want to put it in those terms, right? So, yeah, and of course I've said before, faith is not absolutely necessary. I'm not in that camp that says you must first have 100 or 200 or 10,000% faith in what you want to manifest, otherwise it will never happen. I don't believe in that anyway. So faith is something that comes about as a process of going through this. It's a byproduct of going through the process of manifesting consciously and deliberately, okay? It will come in time. All that it will mean is it'll make things easier and smoother, yes. You'll understand these things better, and you'll understand how things actually work, which way around they actually work, right? Whereas before you might be trying to change the reality and influence the reality and push against the reality to try to get a preferred result, you now understand, oh, I got to change myself and the way that I'm hooking up inside myself, right? Rather than the observed reality, which is just a reflection of what's going on in here. So this is the source of what I'm seeing and perceiving out there. You see what I'm saying? And as you understand that and grasp that more, as you go through these experiences of becoming a deliberate creator now, a deliberate observer, right? A deliberate chooser, all the same thing. What's happening is that this faith idea will just come automatically as a byproduct of that. Okay? You don't need it right away. Experiment for a while. Even if you don't believe something completely, it's fine. You can still create, you can still manifest things that you want, even without that being an element. You can just go, hey, let me just try this stuff out and see what happens. And as you do that, you're going to collect more and more sort of evidence that your monkey mind, because it needs all this evidence all the time, is going to adopt, and it's going to solidify these ideas and formulate a new belief system that says, oh, I can do this. This does work. If I just get out of the way of the process, then I can have what I want. And then things run smoothly and quickly for me, okay? So, but here you are, and I don't know if this is you specifically, but you've formulated the question, so I'm guessing there's an element even within you and you're thinking that there's some kind of void that you're trying to stuff, all right? So in that sense, if that's the crux of what you're thinking about here, So it doesn't even matter if it's your specific person or another person or a series of other people. You see what I'm saying? But if you're approaching it from the sense of, hey, you know what? I enjoy communing with other people. And again, I'm not saying you have to date other people, but again, the choice comes down to you. If you think that that's going to be a problem for you, then guess what? It's going to be a problem for you. If you think it's going to be fine, then it'll be fine, right? The event itself doesn't have any inherent meaning. The circumstance itself has no inherent meaning. You're the one that gives it meaning. So all you need to do to get a different result from even the same circumstance or the seemingly same circumstance is just change your idea about it, change your opinion about it, change how you look at it, change your narrative about it. All right? Choose to observe another angle of it. You're the observer. All right? So last one. I hope that answered your questions, guys. Shannon Sloan. Hello, Shannon. Love this video, and it definitely shifted my thinking. I have a question, though. Another question. What? People have questions. I've put in a request for a school bus that I want to convert into a traveling tiny home. I love it. So is that a short bus? All right. I find myself working on the design and how I want to build it, and that often changes as I think of better ideas for it. Is my planning, the layout and style keeping me in asking mode? I'm confident the perfect bus is on its way to me, but should I stop designing and redesigning in order to be in receiving mode? So she's responding to my last video about being in asking mode versus being receiving mode. No, I don't think that's you being in asking mode anymore. And the clue to this is that you're sure that the perfect bus is coming. So you're not checking on the perfect bus. What you're doing though is you're so sure that it's coming that you're actually having fun just playing around with it. What's it going to look like, right? Or you're even okay with just, hey, well, let me make some adjustments to this or to that, right? It's kind of like if you are building a home, but if it were sort of a conventional home, right? You might buy a piece of land, you might hire an architect. You know you have the means to do it. You know that you're going to have a house on that piece of land, but the plans may change and the details may change, and you may go, well, originally the bathroom was going to be over here, but I want that one to be over there. Or I want these kinds of doors as opposed to those kinds of doors. That's okay. That's actually involving yourself and being excited about what's coming to you, right? It's involving yourself in the process. So, and I can see that right away. I can easily answer your question with a no in terms of am I in asking mode, just because of the sentiment that I sense behind your question. You're excited about this and you're sure it's going to come. So you're not even worried whether this thing that you're going to manage to create this thing for yourself. You're sure of it, okay? Which means you're not checking on when it's coming or if it's coming. You're so sure of it that you're already changing a few things in the plan, right? And that's fine, because that indicates the mindset of somebody who already has what they want, or is absolutely sure what they want is on its way. So you can tweak the order a little bit. It's perfectly okay. All right? We don't have to stick with one type of version of our desire over another, okay? It's all right to go, oh, hold on a minute. That bus that I know is coming, I'd rather it was green or whatever, right? I'd rather it was, or have this kind of thing. I don't know what specifically we would change about a bus. But what's happening is that you're getting into the excitement, the good feeling part of it, because it seems to me that in your planning this bus and choosing things and things to change about it, you're actually expressing your excitement for it. And what that is receiving mode. Okay, so I wouldn't worry that in your case that you're in asking mode here. Asking mode might be more like, you wouldn't even sit down and make changes to it if you were still in asking mode, because you would still be doubting whether the thing would come to you anyway. All right, but you've gone beyond that part. You've gone beyond that sort of hurdle, if you want to call it that, of doubting whether it will come or not. You're sure that it will come, and so you're getting so excited about it that you're already making some changes. All right, so it's perfect. Don't worry about it. Now, sometimes we do want to change things about our desire, but this is the fun part of creating. All right, this is the part that people always miss because they're so focused on the end result. I need that thing, I want that thing so badly, that they forget it's the journey that's the fun part. It's the creation part that's actually the fun part. You see what I'm saying? The receiving part is is a sense of completion, but you're always going to want to create something new out of that, right? It never stops. And why does it never stop? Because that's really what we're here doing here. We're creating. We came here out on the leading edge of creation in order to experience this kind of creation, and even in order to experience this sense of a time buffer, right? And a little bit of sort of challenging situations, because those challenging situations allow us to fine tune our creations and our desires, right? They allow it, oh, I'm going to try this idea out a little bit. I don't know about that one. Let me tweak it a little bit and look at it from this angle. Ooh, I like that better. You see what I'm saying? And you can do that not just with your bus, your bus home that you're building. You can do that with your relationships that you're building. You can do that with the money you're attracting, or the abundant lifestyle that you're attracting, or anything really. Okay? This is good because you want to try on the suit of your preferred reality before you really manifest it, okay? It's nice that we have that opportunity and that little bit of lag in time that gives us an opportunity to it's like you don't just walk into a clothing store and pick the first thing off the shelf and buy it and take it home. You want to try it on first. How's it gonna fit, right? How's it gonna look with these pants or these shoes, right? I don't know about that one. Let me try that one over there. Oh, it's the same sweater. I got a black one and a green one of this, okay? I tried both of them on, right? You see what I'm saying? So it's nice to do that. This is what we came here to be able to do, all right? In that when we're focused back in the non-physical, things come to us like that. But there's something sort of satisfying about being in this environment and being able to go, yeah, I'm getting that bus. I'm creating that bus. But let me just, hold on a minute. Let me try this version out. Let me try this version out. So as you're planning and making different kinds of changes to your plan for your bus, go inside, close your eyes, visualize being in those different versions of the bus. All right? Try it out. See how it feels, right? That's like trying on a suit or a jacket or a shirt or a pair of pants or a pair of shoes when you're out shopping for those things. Look at it that way and from that angle, and then you'll see, oh, this is just me shopping. So I'm going to get the item that I want, but I'm still shopping. I'm still shopping around. It's perfectly all right, okay? So, all right, I hope that answers all your questions. I realized some of them seemed a little tough. They were a little tough, some of them, a little challenging. Not tough, necessarily. Forced me to think about some things a little bit deeper, but that's why I like these comments anyway. That's why I like doing these. They challenge me as well. So hopefully I got on top of your questions there and managed to give you some good answers. So thanks for watching, guys. This is going to be a shorter one, only 30 minutes rather than 50 minutes. Okay. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so now. And Monday or sometime next week, there's something nice coming for you guys. So look forward to that. Got a little surprise. And if you want some coaching, you know where the links are. If you want to join the Facebook group, you know where the links are. And I realize the group too, there's been some spammers on there. I'm trying to thank you guys for reporting those, all of those of you who have. I'm still learning the ropes of that thing. So I'm going to see if there's like a way to filter those out more easily. All right. I don't know if I can put a CAPTCHA in there or some kind of thing. But anyway, I'll figure that part out. But thanks for bringing those to my attention. Also, if you want to leave me a tip, you can do that down below as well. And they're always appreciated. And thank you to all you guys who have done so. Thank you always from the bottom of my heart. Okay, so until next time, next week probably, early next week, happy manifesting. Bye-bye.